Tonight on Focal Point.
We have a proposal here going on the table of the BLB today to close Malvern Primary School, and we believe it has been made with undue haste. It's not taking the interests of the 100 children in Malvern into account, or indeed the children in Glenwood and Edenbrook where they would have to go.
The Southwest Gateway Master Plan is to improve the area from a social and economic perspective and really enhance it as a high quality economical hub.
We'll have to go back to the community and tell them exactly what is planned here and get the information out, because unfortunately nobody in the village knows about this master plan.
Well, I think it's important that the Assembly sends out a very clear message in terms of equality, and I think that the transgender community play a role in the cultural life of our communities across the north and indeed across the island and further afield.
We very strongly felt within tourists within East Belfast that we wanted to show the diversity of the Irish language community, that the Irish language doesn't belong to one political group or one religious group, that there are many people from all walks of life, all creeds and colours involved in the Irish language community, and that includes unionists.
We have a proposal here going on the table of the BLB today to close Malvern Primary School, and we believe it has been made with undue haste. It's not taking the interests of the 100 children in Malvern into account, or indeed the children in Glenwood and Edenbrook where they would have to go. And our concern here is primarily for the children and for their interests, and we believe those interests are best served in the most immediate future in Malvern Primary School, and in the longer term by a new build school that would facilitate Edenbrook and Malvern pupils in the Agnes Street area.
The situation we had last year is that the board published proposals saying that they were looking to merge Malvern with another local school, Edenbrook Primary School, and that process was underway, but that was changed this summer to when the board declared that they would be closing Malvern Primary School, and they then followed that up in October by saying it would be closing at the end of this year. So you can see the strength of feeling. People are totally opposed to this. I'm an elected representative, and I'm also a member of the Board of Governors of Malvern Primary School. We want to see quality education in the area that best suits the needs of the children in that area.
There were two ways the board could have looked at this. They could have consulted with the community in a proper consultation, or they could have just taken the decision they've taken, which is basically to unilaterally close the school. That's no way to consult in this day and age. The community should be consulted properly. So I'm delighted to be here with my colleague Councillor Naomi Thompson, supporting the community and the parents from Lower Shankill in the campaign to ensure that Malvern School remains in the Lower Shankill, or a new school facility is built there.
Well, we have asked the Education and Library Board to consider all possibilities. The consultation process to this point, we believe, has been flawed, in that for a number of reasons they have not taken into account the educational needs of our children prior to announcing their draconian proposals. They intend to assess the needs of our children after the announcement was made, which is wrong. We have proven beyond a reasonable doubt to the Education and Library Board that the land search that they have carried out up to this point has in fact been flawed, and they have not exhausted all possibilities for a possible merger of a school on a new site within the Shankill area.
And it's just an amazing school. It has everything that a child would need in Malvern Primary School, and you know, for this school to go, it would just be devastating for our area and for the children, because even me as a dinner lady know a child's need. That's how close we are of a school.
Well, this is one of the things that we need to have a proper consultation. We need to consult with the people who live in the Mid Shankill and the people who live in the Lower Shankill, and indeed some people who live in the Woodville area, to ensure that we get a school, if we're going to have a merger, a school that works for all the people in that area. We can't have a situation where the first primary school you reach when you drive up the Shankill Road is Tennant Street, and there are two on Tennant Street. We need to have the people in the Lower Shankill being felt part of the community, and they do feel at this moment in time that the closure of this school will take a huge asset away from the community. And we agree with them.
We're not saying under no circumstances will we ever envisage any change. We do want to see quality provision. We want to see the most up-to-date facilities and the best quality teaching for children in the area. but we are calling for suspension of the proposal to close the school on 3 grounds. First of all, we want there to be a full assessment of the needs of the pupils at Malvern Primary School. It is an area which has undergone a lot of turmoil over the last decade. There have been negative things within the community which have impacted on that school. So we wish to see an assessment of the needs of the children. We also believe the other 2 schools in the area, Edenbrook and Glenwood, their provision would be harmed by this sudden intake of 100 pupils at the start of next school year. And we think that needs to be assessed. And thirdly, there is now a process between all statutory agencies of looking at where a sufficient site could be found, primarily in the Agnes Street area, for a new build school, and which everyone recognises is needed within the Shankill. And so we're calling for the BLB to allow that process to take place, to identify a site and to bring forward proposals for that school.
The latest situation is that within the next few moments, Belfast Education Library Board will meet to discuss the future of Malvern School. Their recommendation, whatever it may be, will go to the Education Minister for final decision. As a community, we view the loss of a school as almost a death knell for our community. So we will fight tooth and nail to protect the educational future of our children.
Yeah, I think that the Shankill area, that lower Shankill area in particular, suffered tremendously over the years. That hasn't been properly taken into account. The teachers have done an enormously good job in trying to move things forward. The parents as well are here in force because they value the school and the staff. The staff itself, the non-teaching staff, are here. And we're all concerned about the children, and the children have grown up in very difficult circumstances. Their parents grew up in very difficult circumstances, unique circumstances with the feud and everything else. So I think the board needs to take that all on board and act in the best interest of the children. This is what we must put first and foremost. I'm
very proud to see so many of our community members who are genuinely concerned about the future education of the young people attending this protest today. It's also important to note the hands-on involvement of all our local political elected representatives, and a great vote of thanks to the GMB Union who are supporting us today in this campaign.
A lot of what's right?
People don't drop houses and people don't live there.
Okay, yes.
You know, so
this is the Southwest Gateway Master Plan. It takes in the area of the Boucher Road, the commercial area of the Boucher Road, and the Annistonstown Road, bordered by the Lisburn Road, the Village, Falls area, residential area, and the Annistonstown Road. The overall vision for the Southwest Gateway Master Plan is to improve the area from a social and economic perspective, improve the environment throughout the area, and really enhance it as a high quality economical hub for Belfast.
Do you think it'll be some benefit to the community to have a nicer, greener area right on their doorsteps?
Yeah, that would be an amazing benefit to have a better green area on your doorstep. However, you know, my concern is the costs involved, and will the green areas actually be fully implemented, given the cost and how this seems to be just business focused on the Boucher Road area, to be honest. And we've looked through the master plan, and we can't see anywhere in the master plan that this is going to benefit the local village community.
There's going to be a much greener area beside the village, but you look at what's in the village now. We've no butchers, we've no bakery, we don't really have, we're having the supermarket, the post office closed down, there's no doctors any longer, you know, there's very little in the village now. We've a big ethnic minority group that have come to live in the village now, and they're saying they're socially isolated, and that's true. There's nowhere to go, there's nowhere to take the kids. Every other area has even a big kids activity centre. There's a big the Monach site. Why can they not develop that? You could put a supermarket there, you'd have a kids activity. The community would be coming together to meet. There is nowhere for our community to meet.
Well, our focus for this master plan is, strictly speaking, the commercial areas of the Boucher Road and the Annistonstown Road. As I said before, you have a lot of residential areas bordering this, you know, important area. We, as part of that, will be, as I said, improving connections from these residential areas. There's quite a lot of people that both work within the Southwest Gateway area. They perhaps use it for socialising, sports and recreation. You have the Olympia Leisure Centre, other leisure centres just on the edge of that. So, and you've also got a number of important shops and retailers, as well as I say, for employment. So it's an important area for local people bordering this particular area. And at the moment, the connections for walking from the local areas into this area are very poor. So we're hoping to enhance them significantly so that you're encouraging people from the surrounding residential areas to use this area more freely. There's actually proposals for a park which would straddle really either side of the motorway, taking in the Boucher Road playing fields, while this area is quite well used for concerts and for sports. There's opportunities to create a high quality park on either side of the motorway, perhaps connected. One of the proposals is to connect that area through a new pedestrian and cycle bridge, and improve the relationships and improve connections on either side of the motorway. And again, that will help relieve congestion on both Broadway and Stockman's Lane Junction.
Residents there are concerned about the strategy involved with regenerating the village area. Lots of local people have left and not come back. So, you know, to consult or look at this master plan, we'll have to go back to the community and tell them exactly what is planned here and get the information out, because unfortunately nobody in the village knows about this master plan because no leaflets, no publicity has been made within that community.
The village isn't getting anything here at all. We've had a look through it. We've been up here at the consultation, and it's bypassing the village. It's bypassing the Donegal Road. So yes, it's great for commercial premises, and also good for cycle paths, walkways, and all of that there. The village isn't getting anything, and I think people need to now put their views across. Visit the website, get your ideas in now, because at the minute they're just talking about it. You can change the views here. You can make something happen for the village if people's prepared to do it.
I've actually been 10,000 information leaflets distributed around, well, to all the commercial properties, to all the businesses within the Southwest Gateway Master Plan, but also to a lot of the residential areas surrounding the study area. And on that leaflet, there's a website, www.placespeak.com/Southwest Gateway. And if you go to that website, you'll be able to access the information boards and access all the information on the master plan to date. Now, all the proposals are in draft. The consultation period extends for 12 weeks from mid-November to mid to late February 2015. So we would encourage as many as possible to go onto that website, access the information, and you'll be able to leave your comments on the proposals on that website, and we would encourage as many people as possible to do so.
Well, I think it's important that the Assembly sends out a very clear message in terms of equality. And I think that the transgender community play a role in the cultural life of our communities across the north and indeed across the island and further afield. So I think it is only right that we host this event here to start to look at some of the issues that are, I suppose, particular to the transgender community, and how we as a society can, I suppose, deal with some of those issues, and some of those issues can be quite concerning, and around discrimination at all levels. You know, should it be access to services, should be at a very perceived and very real, sometimes physical element to the trans community. So it's about hosting the event, it's about raising awareness, and it's also about trying to tackle some of the issues and the stigma that's attached to this section of our community.
Well, transgender is the name that was first coined by people like me who suffer from gender dysphoria. the medical condition, sometimes called by the medical profession transsexuals, and we were never happy with the term transsexual because it has connotations of sexual orientation. The condition gender dysphoria is to do about your gender identity, who you believe and know yourself to be inside, and it has nothing to do really with your sexual orientation, who you're attracted to. It's about your personal identity, and the condition itself sort of describes the basic discomfort between your brain, who I identify as. I've always identified as female, but I was born in a male body. So sometimes, people would describe it as being trapped in the wrong body, and you can recognize the discomfort as you recognize that your body doesn't match what's going on inside, and that particularly around puberty and various other lifetime events, you're really unhappy with the fact that your body doesn't match who you are, and people don't recognize the true you, and you attempt for a long time to deny who you truly are, to try to satisfy everybody else around you.
So at what age did you actually confront your own situation and become a woman, so to speak?
Well, I've always been a woman, but I started to what we would call transition a fairly short time ago, and really I suppose the reason for that, in common with most other transgender individuals, is that they live their lives in fear. They live their lives in fear of what the rest of society thinks about us. We live our lives in fear around disappointing people, your family, around who they think you have always been, and you try to live up to their expectations, and you're afraid of letting people down, you're afraid of being rejected, you're afraid of being isolated, you're afraid of having physical violence visited on you.
Well, I think if we look even at the very, starkest level, it can often result in quite physical attacks on members of the community. And we saw in 2012, for example, there was 31 crimes that were reported to the PSNI directed at the transgender community. So, at a very stark level, we need to say that there's a zero tolerance approach to this kind of mentality in society. There's other issues about how the trans community are consulted with, that ultimately this is a gender issue as opposed to a sexual orientation. And there's also issues at a very basic level for local councils in terms of access to services, leisure facilities, all of that. So there's very practical work as well, I think, that can be ongoing. But I think it is important that their voice, as well as every other voice in society, is heard on an equal footing.
In our manifesto last year, or in July, we called for the Gender Recognition Act in Northern Ireland to be looked at across the whole of the UK and across the island, and really it needs to be human rights based. You shouldn't have to prove your own existence, and it shouldn't be predicated upon any form of medical treatment. You shouldn't have to dissolve relationships or whatever to be recognised.
Well, I think it's an issue about raising awareness of the issues. I think there's no doubt that this is a particular group within society who have particular issues, and I would suggest that not everybody in society would be familiar with the issues that are specific to the transgender community. So it is indeed in that sense about raising that awareness and saying, look, we're part of this community, we play a valuable role in the cultural life of this community. We have issues in relation to, levels of discrimination that need to be tackled, and you as an assembly and you as a society need to tackle those issues.
Well, we decided that, now was the time to really speak out, because the way that the Irish language has been treated so disrespectfully recently, and also the fact that the Irish Language Act has just been blocked and ignored, we very strongly felt within Turris, within East Belfast, that we wanted to show the diversity of the Irish language community, that the Irish language doesn't belong to one political group or one religious group, that there are many people from all walks of life, all creeds and colours involved in the Irish language community, and that includes unionists.
Tá an ailte rih phobal agus rih Horace an seo inniu agus sílim gur iireacht iontach mai seo acu chuna léirú do pholaiteoirí ó achanfartí an seo nach le drama-bháin an Gaeilge gur leis an phobal a lig an teanga agus gur cóir go mbeadh cómhas a léirú ar an Gaeilge go háirithe seomar an John Nolan seo rud nach bhfuil ag tarlú ar an drochúir san am láthair.
Well, it's a good job that they're coming together for something, and I think it's good, and it's not forced, it's not contrived. I mean, we have learners in Skenos. My wife, of course, is Irish Language Development Officer in East Belfast, and you wouldn't have heard about that 10 years ago. It was like raising the Titanic. But we have been absolutely amazed at the response of people who, having been acquainted with the facts and history of their heritage and their language, just flock to it. I mean, for example, I was shocked to find out in the 1911 census that my grandparents and all my aunts and uncles were bilingual. They were English and Irish speakers. In fact, there were as many Irish speakers on the Shankill as there was in the Falls. So I was shocked to find this out, and basically it's just actually acquainting people with what the language was about, and it transcended politics. It transcended these divisions. It was made toxic, of course, when the IRB under Padraig Pearse took over the Gaelic League. Douglas Hyde left, and it became a tool almost of Irish nationalism and became exclusive of the Northern Protestants.
Sílamúid go bhfuil cinneó de daireacht cultaithe agus teangólaíochta coitianta ó gine. Idir Alban agus Éireann agus idir na teangaithe ceilteacha go mbeidh ar na Hoileáin seo. Agus bhaithimid go mbeidh an bailachas fearr leis an ceis seo an normalú agus le húsáid na Gaeilge normalú go mbeidh sin ach na Gaeilge a thuirteiste. Now go dtí ar na málamh bhíonn pobl protestúna cinneal áireasa an ceis sin mar go raibh méid sin ansithe deanta ar an Gaeilge agus deanta ar an concap sin go mbeadh cosintreachtaíochta an den teanga. Ach sílim de réir céile go bhfuil se gal bhaim ar géine go dtigann siad go neanthú reachtaíocht Gaeilge go neanthú chess bas a crothú den teanga agus dúsáid na teanga I réimsí agus le taal. Agus mar sin de sílam go bhfuil séintú dearafá go bhfuil turas agus pobl ag teach le céile an seo. Le taspint den na politeoirí a rís eile go bhfuil an tosaí ar cursaí politeachta. Go bhfuil níos mó a gatianta ó gine na mar a scaran muid, agus go bhhaithling go ghlacad na politeoirí leis chatara sin agus go mágad siad go dearafach ar ceisteach na Gaeilge.
So I believe that the people of the South suppressed their Britishness for political reasons, and the people of the North suppressed their Irishness for political reasons. And I think that's sad. I think what we need to do is to have a basis of reconciliation. I mean, because I have a couple of focal, that was all right, wasn't it? A couple of focal. It does not diminish my unionism. It doesn't diminish the fact that I am a United Kingdomer. I'm being a Carson unionist. I'm just yearning for the time when the 26 counties come back into the union that they left in 1922. It'd be wonderful to have a united British Isles, wouldn't it?
Seo an taon at ar na Hoileáin seo nach bhfuil reachtaíocht an den friú teanga to act na Brandishin and Brattenburg to Gaeilge in Alban faoi cosint act na Gaeilge darnai to act na teangathe efigúla an ó Ias agus Casanchi faoin insan Munracht ta an dhélig mar teanga effigiúil de cuid Aontas na Hórapa. Agus mar sin de áit agus stadas na Gaeilge nó aspa stadas na Gaeilge an seo dúsgart na Héireann is éisceachtaigh. Agus an rud a dheanthad reachtaíocht den teanga. Ar a céad dó síos deanad se reachtaíocht comháinis a choilearú. Janet se bhd níos fusa de phobal na Gaeilge fis a bheith acu codéad na cearta tacu, agus codéad na seirbhísí go féidir a lárag, agus Janet se níos fusa de na stát seirbhísí agus de na hagraíochtaí poibli. Na seirbhísí sin na cur ar fáil mars ceart.
We have said, that it doesn't matter who you are or what your political persuasion or religious persuasion is. If you want to learn Irish, you can have access to it. Shouldn't force it on anybody, but it's up for grabs.
And now, tomorrow's weather.